Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. This is the privacy edition with a little bit of security at the end. Before we jump into the actual news sections, there is an update on the Apple CSAM approach, which I got way too late to include in the news, but apparently they said we're delaying it for a while. In translation, a whole lot of people are all up in arms. We thought it was a great idea, and we thought everyone would be so behind us to get those bad people off the street, but apparently nobody's behind us. And so we're going to stop until the bad news dies down, and then we're going to quietly push it out in about 3 to 6 months. So it will come out, just not immediately. So anyway, WhatsApp is yet another GDPR. When GDPR passed, basically it was the EU countries all teaming together to say, hey, which big tech company can we screw over this week? Well, this week it's WhatsApp. This is in Ireland, levies $265 million fine for not telling users how the data is linked with Facebook. Guys, avoid all Facebook companies. WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, no need. Just get rid of them. They're garbage. So we don't want to mess with any of that. So not much more to say about that particular article. Just keep it in mind that, WhatsApp is fine. Instagram, speaking of things you should get off of, Instagram will soon start requiring you to share your birthday for safety. I don't know how it is safety to... I don't know how it's safety to have more required data out there that people can breach, that they can connect to, and all these types of things. So you're going to start seeing all these add your birthdays, and don't even think about lying because they're going to know. They're deploying AI to make sure that that you are how old you say you are and your birthday is when you say it is. They're going to be looking at, are a bunch of people saying happy birthday to you on your Instagram page even though you don't publish it because your friends know it's your birthday, or you say, hey, it's my birthday, but it's not officially in there. Well, if you have any track record or history of all that, they're going to use AI to go back and determine that. And that is kind of a problematic thing. And so with that... kind of frightening there. Kind of frightening. They did share a little bit more about it. They said, they'll start showing warning screens placed on age-sensitive posts. Warnings aren't new. They've accompanied sensitive graphic posts for a while. Now you'll have to supply your birthday in order to see them if you have not shared it already. For those who are simply planning to supply a false birthday, Instagram may be one step ahead of you. They are now using artificial intelligence to estimate how old you are based on happy birthday posts, also based on what you look like. The AI says, oh, no, that's bad. So in the future, if someone tells us they're above a certain age, our technology tells us otherwise, we'll show them the menu options to verify their age. So there you go, guys. If you needed to get off of Instagram, this is a good time. Tell them to go stuff it and get off of that crap. Well, Apple, they say they care about privacy. Guys, the more I look at this kind of stuff, I don't think Apple cares about privacy in the slightest. I don't think they care in the slightest. So what I think is, they're just using privacy as a means to a marketing ploy here in the States, because you look at other places where they don't have as deep privacy laws, there is no privacy. Well, apparently, if you are an employee at Apple, they absolutely 100% and unequivocally have no right to privacy at all. And this article goes into a lot of little things. So first and foremost, when they're sitting down, he says, big bold here, Preston's sitting down with his manager during his first week at Apple. He was told with a little fanfare that he needed to link his personal Apple ID and work account. Well, that syncs all of your personal life, your photos, your budgets, anything you're doing with your Apple ID to your work Apple account. But then they have to tie this into their work laptop, and once you leave, the Apple policy says you are not allowed to wipe that laptop. So literally artifaces of your personal life are staying permanently on those Apple computers that you have to hand back to the company. Says when he handed his resignation, the chime came The choice came back to haunt him. The manager told him to, when he returned his work laptop, as per Apple protocol, said he shouldn't wipe the computer's hard drive. His initial worry had come to pass. His personal messages were on this work laptop, as were private documents containing his taxes, a recent home loan. He pushed back, saying some of the files contained highly personal information and there was no reasonable way to make sure they were all removed from the laptop without wiping it completely. Just wipe it anyway. Sorry, I wiped it anyway. Derp. He was told the policy wasn't negotiable. His story is part of a growing tension inside Apple. Some employees say the company isn't doing enough to protect their personal privacy and at times actively seeks to invade it for security reasons. They've been asked to install software builds on their phones to test out new features prior to launch, only to find that the builds expose their personal messages. Others have found when testing new products like Apple's Face ID, images were recorded every time they opened their phones. If they did this to a customer, people would lose their bleeping minds, says Ashley is it Jorvik, a senior engineer program manager. Apple employees also can't use their work email addresses to sign up for iCloud accounts, so many of them use their personal accounts. The blurring of personal and work accounts has resulted in some unusual situations, including Jorvik allegedly being forced to hand compromising photos of herself to Apple lawyers when her team became involved in an unrelated legal dispute. Here's my barn. Underpinning all this, the employment agreement says Apple has the right to conduct extensive employee surveillance, including physical, video, or electronic surveillance, as well as the ability to search your workspaces, such as filing cabinets, desks, and offices, even if locked, review phone records, or search any non-Apple properties, such as backpacks or purses, on the company premises. Apple also tells employees that they should have no expectation of privacy when using your or someone else's personal devices for Apple Business, when using Apple systems or networks, or when on Apple's premises. Yeah, that's kind of exciting. So apparently there is absolutely no interest in privacy. If Apple were really truly a privacy-focused company, they would start with their own household. Their own household would have some privacy elements. So with that, guys, oh man, Apple, they are demonstrating more and more and more to not be that. You can read through the whole story. Very fascinating stuff. Don't make me tap the sign. We need this. Can't do anything without one. There you go. And of course, Apple did not respond to requests for comments. Like, oh Lord, please don't. Here's our comment. Keep it out. Keep it out. We will fund your work. But anyway, yeah. Well, Arizona, what is this? The entire story today is about Apple, I guess. Arizona and Georgia among the first states to adopt driver's licenses and IDs and Apple wallets. There's actually 5 states. I got one of the first articles. There's a few more since then, indicating a few more states are also allowing it. So you can put all of your driver's license data, just all sorts of this data. You can stuff it all right on into your Apple ID account, so that, particularly if you're an Apple employee, they absolutely have everything in there. Or even if you're not an Apple employee, they still have everything in there. This is the step closer towards this crazy, weird dystopian future where people's access to society can just be cut off entirely. And so that is something that we need to keep in mind here. So users will be able to take advantage of their digital licenses and IDs at participating TSA security checkpoints and lanes, Apple said. Adding a driver's license or state ID to the wallet will be similar to how users add new credit cards and transit passes to the app today. Simply tap the plus button at the top of the wallet, scan your driver's license or ID using your phone's camera. Apple said users will also be required to submit a selfie and be prompted to a series of facial and head movements during the setup process for security and verification purposes. Sounds like a privacy company to me. Cupertino-based tech company says neither it nor issuing states will know when or if users present their digital IDs. Their implementation supports ISO 180.13-5, MDL standard, which Apple helped develop. It stands users should never have to unlock, show, or hand over their device. Driver's licenses and state IDs and wallets are only presented digitally through encrypted communication directly between the device and the identity reader. Connecticut, Iowa, Kentucky, Maryland, Oklahoma, Utah are next in line to adopt the feature, although a timetable for rollout wasn't provided. Yeah. I would probably avoid putting your ID into your phone. That is just asking for security risks. And then you become reliant on your phone and you're in the airport and whoops, your phone goes down the toilet. And now you're stuck in a foreign land without a phone, without ID. So, of course, nobody would do that anyway. But anyway, And on to our feature story over there in Australia, down under. Somebody in the comments here said their rights were trampled down under. That's right. More police powers, less protections. So this was actually the final passing of the highly controversial surveillance legislation from last year. It is now signed into law. This allows Australian Federal Police and the Australian Criminal Intelligence Commission to basically get new warrants available in response to just seeing anything that looks a little bit odd on the internet. And so network activity warrants allow AFP or ACIC to monitor online activity without investigating or accusing a person of a crime. Account takeover warrants enable police to take over an account and change their data, which could then be used as evidence in criminal proceedings. So they can log in, change the data, and then use the information in your account against you. Yeah. Interesting. Data disruption warrants grant law enforcement data disruption powers to stop suspected commission of an offense using a computer. The person with relevant knowledge does not comply with a data disruption warrant. It could result in a 10-year jail term. Richardson Review concluded this bill enables AFP and ACIC to be judge, jury, and executioner. It matches everything else that's going on over there right now, though. This is not how we deliver justice in this country. Well, it kind of is right now. So, bill does not identify or explain why these powers are necessary or our allies in the United States, United Kingdom, or New Zealand do not grant law enforcement these rights. Greens puts out for the amendments to balance these powers with a robust human rights framework that would protect innocent people from the abuse of powers contained in the bill, but we are outvoted by the majority parties. Yeah, so there you have it, guys. That's kind of exciting. Well, if you'd like to help support the channel, we do have some affiliates today. We are highlighting Linode, tlm.li/Linode. If you'd like to use our affiliate link there, that helps us out. Gives you $100 in credit, good for 60 days. You can spin up any number of Linodes, try out Nextcloud. You can try out, VPNs and web hosting, and a bunch of other fun things that you could do over there on Linode. tlm.li/Linode. Next, we'll have a brief look at some security news. So first up in security news, ChaosDB, how we hacked thousands of Azure customers' databases. That's right. Amazon has the S3 calendars, and now Microsoft has leaky databases. They said they were basically able to compromise, was it like 50% or so of Microsoft Azure databases, Fortune 500 companies, multiple other people. Basically, it was a vulnerability inside of Microsoft's system, which was allowing people to have full escalation from accessing the databases. World's biggest businesses use Cosmos databases to manage massive amounts of data from around the world in near real time. As one of the simplest, most flexible ways for developers to store data, it powers critical business functions like processing millions of prescription transactions or managing customer order flows on e-commerce sites. So all of that type of stuff could be breached. Rather than a series of flaws, it in a Cosmos DB feature, created a loophole allowing any user to download, delete, or manipulate massive collections of commercial databases, as well as read-write access to the underlying architecture of Cosmos DB. They named it ChaosDB. Exploiting it was trivial and required no other credentials. For part one, stealing the keys of the primary database. First, we're going to access customers' primary keys. Primary keys will be the holy grail for attackers. They are long-lived and allow full read, write, and delete access of customer data. Part two is accessing the customer database. Do whatever you want. Here's the attacker. Here's the victim. Woohoo! There you go. And then pretty much part three, just do whatever you want to do. And so I think this is patched or getting patched, but still, just be very cautious. And this is why I don't like any type of stuff stored in computers or databases when not necessary. It's too much. It's too much. All right. Also, Microsoft, there is ways that you can get Microsoft Windows 11 on your computers that aren't compatible. You basically just have to manually install it. But if you do that, it's going to be like, hey, yo, we didn't upgrade this. We didn't approve this. No security updates for you. So while they're bragging out of one side of their mouth going, this is the most secure system ever, on the other side of their mouth they're saying, well, you're not an approved system. We're not giving you security updates. So this is how to make your Windows computer even worse. So they would really like you to use an officially supported PC, so you should get rid of your perfectly working computer and buy a new one, just because. We need you to get more. We have not sold enough Windows 10 licenses. We need to sell Windows 11 licenses now. And so there's a lot of question about running it on unsupported hardware. We know Microsoft won't go to the extraordinary lengths to keep you from running it, but we know that the new OS won't be offered to older PCs automatically. We know although Microsoft preferred security settings can downgrade performance in older hardware, these settings still won't be the defaults for new installs, but now Microsoft had another question. Will unsupported PCs be able to get the latest updates? And it turns out the answer is no. I guess you could always wipe and rewipe your computer every other Tuesday and have the latest updates, but that would be crazy. I get what they're trying to do in this. What they're attempting to do is they're attempting to prevent what happened with Vista. Vista wasn't bad. It just was released on computers that couldn't take the system resources. So the minimum requirement for Vista was like 2 gigabytes, but the average computer sold at that time only had 1 gigabyte, which meant that nearly every computer sold with Vista in the first couple years just didn't work. But if you put Vista on a big, beefy computer, it actually generally worked okay, particularly after the service packs got in there. But nevertheless, that being said, this is a little bit slimy. It's like you got to use different computers. Use the ones we want. All this, I don't know. Why not just make it in such a way that you're not throwing away extra old computers? So, there's our security for the day. You can help support the channel over on Patreon. That will support all of my different channels. Jump on over there. Patreon.com/TOMM. That is TOMM on Patreon. Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.